Okay, so this is the preview to Jack Catterall versus Harlem Eubank. Now, obviously, this is a fight that's happening in the UK in Manchester on the 5th of July. This video will be coming out probably on the 5th of July. But it's a really interesting fight I believe it's in the welterweight division. Obviously, Harlem Eubank being the undefeated boxer and Jack Catterall being the guy who's, boxed at a world level, been a world champion before, and ultimately, both guys are really at interesting points in their careers where this is a must-win fight for both guys. Jack Catterall needs a win if he's gonna, make another run to potentially be at world level once again. He's got to beat Harlem Eubank, and also the questions are going to be asked of Harlem Eubank in: are you a world level guy? Because if you can beat Jack Catterall, you're probably a world level guy. Like you look at the guys who have lost, if you look at the guys who have lost to Jack Catterall, look at the guys who have beaten Jack Catterall, in Teofimo Lopez, Arnold Barboza Jr. and Josh Taylor. Of course, the Josh Taylor fight, it was a robbery, and he avenged that in the second fight and did beat Josh Taylor. But the Teofimo Lopez and the Arnold Barboza Jr. fight, Arnold Barboza Jr., I think it was a split decision, that fight, but in my opinion, Barboza Jr., he did enough to win that fight. He looked bigger, he was applying pressure, he was the busier fighter too. Jack Catterall's game seemed somewhat limited in that fight. Now, is that because Jack Catterall's a limited boxer, or because Arnold Barboza's setting traps, giving him different looks, making it a hard night for him? It's probably more so that, right? Now you have to ask yourself, what Arnold Barboza did to beat Jack Catterall, is Harlem Eubank able to do that? Is he a good enough boxer to do that? In terms of pure boxing abilities, probably not. Harlem Eubank, similar to I believe his cousin Chris Eubank Jr., he is more of a puncher. He is more of a knockout threat. That being said, in the Barboza fight, I felt Jack Catterall was very hittable. I think his defense, despite, like I said, he didn't get battered by Arnold Barboza Jr. at all. But it feels like if he was in there with someone who is probably regarded as more of a bigger puncher, and a guy like Harlem Eubank, where, like I said, in reality, his route to winning is either knocking out Jack Catterall or putting a beating on him, right? He's not really going to outbox Jack Catterall. Jack Catterall, he's a tricky southpaw, and he presents some issues in and of itself. Just being a southpaw at this sort of level will present its own problems. But that being said, Harlem Eubank's fought southpaws before, and he has dropped them. That being said, he's never fought anyone, southpaw or otherwise, fought anyone on the level of Jack Catterall. So like I said, it's going to be a real test for both guys. Obviously, Harlem Eubank will be probably one of the bigger punchers he's fought recently. Teofimo's a puncher. Arnold Barboza Jr. is not a huge puncher. Josh Taylor was a puncher though. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen with both those guys. And you have to ask yourself, is a Harlem Eubank on the level of a Arnold Barboza Jr.? Is he on the level of a Josh Taylor? Is he on the level of a Teofimo Lopez? Immediately, the answer to that question is no, because he's not. But you also have to ask, at this point in Jack Catterall's career, how much has he got left in him? Has he got it in him to take those shots from Harlem Eubank for 12 rounds? I believe it's a 12-rounder, or if it's a 10-rounder, whatever. I think it's a 12-rounder, but if it's a 10-rounder, the principle applies. Have you got it in you to take those punches? Because what I saw from him in the Arnold Barboza fight, even though Arnold Barboza wasn't necessarily landing at will against Jack Catterall, like I said, when you're facing someone whose game plan is going to be to try and knock you out, he seemed quite hittable, right? And his defense, in terms of his footwork, didn't seem super high level. Apart from the obvious advantages from being a southpaw, I didn't see a ton from Jack Catterall in that Arnold Barboza fight. Most of his defense included some counter shots, which were nice, some nice counter shots, but mostly just stepping out of range, right? And that can work. That's not a bad technique at all. It's not a bad tactic. But when you're facing a guy like Harlem Eubank, who's going to be willing to commit to his punches and apply that pressure, you just keep stepping back. He's just going to keep stepping forward. Right? And then before you know it, you're against the ropes and he's unleashing a 4, 5, 6 punch combo on you. And can you take those shots at this point in your career? the fights you've been through? Can you take those shots? I don't know. That's the question. These are the questions that make these fights interesting. Now, immediately, when I hear this fight get booked, I want to go with the better boxer. And the better boxer out of these two is Jack Catterall. That being said, there is something to be said for momentum in boxing. There is something to be said for youth. You know, because Harlem Eubank's got that. He's got that potential. He's got that momentum. He's got that youth on his side. He's got that power on his side. It's going to be it's going to be an interesting fight. I'm going to pick. There's a part of me that fancies Harlem Eubank to win this fight, though. But Jack Catterall's not a bad... Jack Catterall's been there and done that, man. Jack Catterall's been at the high level for a long time at this point. For multiple world champions. Lost to some, beat Josh Taylor, but lost to some world champions as well. Harlem Eubank's not on that level of the Arnold Barbosas and the Teofimos. So I'm going to go with Jack Catterall to win this fight. Although a Harlem Eubank win wouldn't surprise me at all. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what's next for these guys. I think if Jack Catterall wins this fight, and then if he fights one or two more contenders, he's right back in there for a world title fight. Again, you look at the world champions of welterweight. Do you fancy Jack Catterall to beat them? I don't know. At this point, I don't know. But yeah. We'll see what's next for both guys. No doubt I'll make a fallout video or review after the fight happens and I'll watch it. But yeah, another episode of the Seth Solo Cyclist in the bag, and I'm out. Peace.